Welcome to this podcast titled From the Keel Up Redesigning Ships of the Future, part of the Sagar Manthan Great Oceans Dialogue. From time immemorial, from the time we had wooden ships to the steel behemoths that we see today, ships have always represented the pinnacle of human ingenuity. But today we stand at a very interesting cusp of shipbuilding, informed on the one hand by the imperative of sustainability, and on the other, vectored by technology, new materials, and disruptive designs. All of these are going to have tremendous impact on ships of the future, the livelihoods of people who depend on it, and the very face of the industry. Discussing this very interesting subject with us today are Siv uh, Ramoy Wangen, the Managing Director of Norwegian Electric Systems, and Mr. Madhu S. Nair, the Chairman and Managing Director of Cochin Shipyard. Ms. Nair, I'll first come to you. Cochin Shipyard has been at the forefront of technological innovations and new reimagineering shipbuilding in India. What do you think shipbuilders need to do to accelerate the transition to design ships of the future, traditional shipbuilders?
Thanks. A very pertinent question. And for us, for somebody like me who has been in the industry for more than 3 decades, when you started off, the ship was largely in naval architecture, big hull, engines, a little bit electrical. And now, when you think about a ship, times have really changed. Because the way the ships have changed, it's significantly electronics, electrical, digital, but the ship has a function to do. When you are talking about the ships of the future, already the transition is very strong here, but the ships of the future, critical defining aspects. The way I look at it, it's coming from two aspects. One is overarching need for sustainability. And it's not just ships or the maritime space, in all walks of life, sustainability, the way we are looking at it. The other part is the digital, AI, ML, the entire change that's happening. These two, when they are playing it out, ships of the future would be physically, it would be very different, functionally would be different. But if I touch upon the sustainability part first, we will see this definitive shift from the classical fossil fuels to potential non-fossil fuels. But when we are saying that, I'm not saying that it's going to be a rapid, sudden change, but the change is for sure. So we got used to LNG for sure over the past many years, but as we move forward, we'll see much more of hydrogen, methanol, ammonia, maybe even nuclear, if somebody wants to call that green, but definitely yes, people would move into all these areas. But one large aspect would be ships will actually be, from a technology point of view, ships will be predominantly, there would be electrics in the ship. There would be electricity being generated, like you generate and pump it onto a grid. So there will be significant grid on the vessel. How you generate your power, multi sources, you would generate this in multi sources. Now you're having a power grid on your ship. Control it, also communicate. So communication between ships and communication to different platforms. So all these will change ships significantly. You ask this question, how do you do this faster? How do you do this better? Traditionally, a shipyard or a shipbuilder would actually get into the design, engineering, you move forward, you create things within your organization. But the way I just explained, we are talking interdisciplinary, highly specialized areas. It could be electronics, it could be, you're talking methanol as fuel, you're talking chemistries, you will have batteries coming in. So partnerships and cooperations would be key. See, my organization, we are a mid-sized shipyard. by global standards. And in India, we are done over the past 20, 25 years. We have tried to do things differently. We are fairly successfully, but I can say a large part of that is trying to team up. Teaming up is a two-way process. You're building bridges and technologies, clientele. There is knowledge. Knowledge needs to be shared, and when you share those knowledges, I think we can build much better ships. So to answer your question, if I may pause, it's good quality partnerships, assimilating technologies, assimilating partnerships, building up trust. I think technology, things would flow. I think that would be one good way of building ships into the future.
Thank you. So when we look at the maritime space, we are looking at a multi-fuel maritime future. And many of these new fuels, of course, they come up with their own benefits, but they could also pose certain challenges, whether it's in terms of storage, whether it's in terms of operational challenges, safety, etc. What fuels do you think are the most promising and the most viable when we look at future ships?
Thank you for your question. A great and interesting question. It's a big question, and I think it's impossible to answer. I think Madhu touched a little bit about it or upon it, and I would say for the vessel for the future and for the fuel of the future, what owners are interested in is fuel flexibility. They need ships who can operate worldwide or within their trade, and with that, they need systems that can, work on whichever fuel is the most, optimized for the trade that this vessel is going to trade upon. This can obviously be ammonia, but as you mentioned, then you have to know how to handle ammonia because it can be toxic. Hydrogen, you have to handle it. It can be explosive. And so forth. And with that, I think also owners are looking at the energy density and take also that into consideration, because even though the fuel will give less greenhouse gas emissions, they will also take up a lot of space and be a lot less efficient. So in dialogue, with the owners and the operators of the vessel, what they are asking us as a maritime supplier within energy power is to design a system that will make them be able to tackle the transition when it comes, and will also make their vessel being able to handle the various energy sources, whichever that may be. For the future. So I think you just need to design and build and deliver a vessel that is capable of whatever is coming. And we see that there is a shift now in the offshore supply segment. There was a transition from mechanical propulsion systems in the early 2000s over to diesel electric. And now we see that this was also obviously then introduced to the ferries when they started to run on batteries. Now we see other segments, as Madhu is mentioning, for instance, in the short sea cargo segment. They're also moving away from the traditional mechanical propulsion system over to the diesel electric propulsion system. Yeah. And why do they do this? Because they need flexibility. They need flexibility when, let's say, batteries are strong enough and don't take up too much space. Yeah. They need the flexibility when the short charging power stations will be there at the port side. And they also need flexibility if, let's say, a hydrogen or a ammonia fuel cell will be installed on the vessel at a later stage. Yeah.
Thank you. Ms. Nair, there is a huge fleet out there already. How do we retrofit this fleet to accelerate the sustainability transition in a manner that is both technologically as well as economically viable?
Challenging. Not as much from a technology point of view, but it's a commercial call. Technologically, you can retrofit a vessel, but then main factors to be looked at: what is the age of the vessel you are going to retrofit? If it's a very old vessel, do you want to put this kind of, because you'll have to undo a lot of things and put new things into it. As I said, anything on the new technology side would need a lot of electrics, a lot of controls, instrumentation to come in. There's going to be safety standards are at a different level. For example, as Siv said, we are talking about hydrogen or methanol. You probably will have to change your systems to X-proof and other things. Now the question is, when you do these changes, would it be viable? This is one large question. So again, if it's an engine, like, see, in the past also we have done this transition. Like if a vessel is already running on gas in some form, let's say LNG, LPG, then the transition to another gas would be much more comfortable. In fact, those are being tried out. So from a technology point of view, you can actually do this transition. And again, it's not just a one-shot solution for everything. Let's say we'll have to split the vessels into different categories. At the minimum, something which is near coastal, something which is short sea and the high sea ships. But if a vessel is very old, I would say 12, 14 year and older, potentially it's not a good candidate for a retrofit. But if it's a younger vessel, has got another 10 or 15 years of life in its normal method, then I think, yes, there are methods of retrofitting. And I think for everything, if you want an electric retrofitting, you want a gas retrofitting, there are methods available. So I would think there's a commercial call, and this is yet to play out. So ship owners would really watch what kind of technologies, what maturity, and whether they would want to scrap a vessel or run that vessel conventionally for some more time, and then when they order a new vessel. What we are seeing in Europe would need short sea vessels, about 2,500, 3,000 vessels will have to be replaced over the next 10 years. We are seeing a lot of people are waiting to run the vessel for a few more years and then scrap it and probably get a new vessel with a new technology. That would be better rather than retrofitting. So retrofitting is a mixed bag, but we can try it out. But then that would depend on geographies, specific functions, and how you want to do it. So I would think there's no single short answer to that, but then technologically possible, but commercially we have to take it. Correct.
Yeah, maybe I can comment
Yes,
just
please.
to fill in, because I think owners today are hesitant actually in contracting new vessels, because they are doubting what kind of technology shall they use, how can they build a vessel, being on the sea for 30 years when they don't know what will come in 2050. So we are seeing more and more inquiries on retrofitting. And one of our clients, Sea Cargo, there is a vessel called SC Connector. I recommend to go on YouTube just to have a look at it. We did a conversion there, put in a converter, put in a smaller battery, and in addition to this, the owner actually put in a rotor sail. And what this vessel actually is now capable is operating, let's say, with less 20% of the CO2 emissions, and also with the sail using the wind power, they're actually able to sail at a much higher speed than it's without the sail. So it's, there is a lot that can be done, but as Madhu is saying, it depends. It depends on the charters if they want to take older vessel, and it depends on the class if they will approve it.
We can stretch that a little bit for a country like India. Like if you're looking at a fleet of smaller vessels, ferries and the likes, because there are thousands of those vessels. You can't just throw it off one day. You can be very innovative. You can actually bring in, if you are really thinking out of the box, you can actually bring in solutions. In fact, just to bring in a case in point, like on our river Ganges in Varanasi, there are old country boats which the world would have seen. Those country boats with rickety old engines have got transited to CNG, and they are doing at least much better than the old diesels. So innovative solutions for geographies. I would think this is probably not the forum to discuss that, but then I would think there are very innovative solutions that could be available.
Yeah, but like you rightly said, the commercial viability is obviously a very big elephant in the room.
Yeah, technology is there, but I mean, the charters would have to be a part
Yeah,
of this
yeah,
transition because new technology, it costs. So the market has to pay. But what I did hear is a case done by DNV said that if they took one of the larger container vessel and made it zero emission, the extra cost for a Nike shoe would be 50 cents. So
Okay.
So we hear about autonomous vessels, and the development of autonomous vessels such as Yara Birkeland, for instance, generated a lot of excitement as well as anxiety. So I think, is the future autonomous in your view? And I think that's also a question for you, Madhu. Is the future autonomous? And what does that portend for the shipbuilding industry? And the general integration of such technologies, what does that portend for the livelihoods of people who depend on the industry?
that is a huge question, and it's very difficult to enter into. And I think to some extent, part of the question is also a small minefield, right? But you had the Yara Birkeland, which is an amazing vessel. And we are also now entering into a project with Fjord One, where we will supply the technology for 4 fully autonomous vessels, which is set to be delivered in 2026. So fully electric and also autonomous, operating in Norway across the Sognefjord, one of our big fjords. So this question is obviously something that has been forward to us, but also to the owner. And what we are seeing is that the technology will make it possible to operate probably more accurately. And in Norway, the ferries are a part or extension of the road system. So it's a crucial part that actually the ferries operate in time. And what we see now is that there sometimes are challenges to get enough seafarers. So sometimes the ferries actually have to wait because they don't have enough crew. Having said that, in dialogue with the owners and also the classification, the Norwegian maritime authorities, I don't see autonomy yet replacing the seafarers. I would say autonomy is coming addition to the seafarers that will help them, preferably also help, improve the quality of their work space and also ensure the safety operation of the fleet.
And Madhu, CSL has been at the forefront of reimagining technologies, and I am sure you're also consumed by this idea of artificial intelligence and autonomy.
See, we build the autonomous vessels for ASCO, which is now being operated across the fjords of Oslo in Norway. I tend to agree with you. Autonomy is great, but again, autonomy is not, technologically speaking, the various levels of autonomy. So the question is, do you want a fully unmanned ship? That's the question. For a country like India, I don't think that would be the greatest of ideas. From, you said, that concern of loss of jobs kind of a thing. But I think autonomy would not be coming in from that point of view. Autonomy is all about how a machine can bring in much better control, accuracy, and much better functions on a vessel. So autonomy in various stages are definitely going to help. It's going to lower the burden on the human being. But I don't think autonomy is a replacement for the human being, and probably we need not consider it that way. There would be functions. For example, there would be, let's say you want a diving vessel, you want a pipeline inspection. Why should you put a human being at harm? You can go fully autonomous over there. Defense, for sure, we could go fully autonomous. But otherwise, in the civilian space, I would think it would be a mixed. Today we have park assist in our cars. We all like it. So something akin to a park assist in ships. But we would go. Actually, the autonomy may be able to control the whole thing, but you still would like to have the human being over there. So it would be a mixed bag. That is how we would see it.
on that very reassuring note, we have had a lot of more questions, but on that very reassuring note, we'll have to close this podcast. So thank you very much, Madhu. Thank you very much, Siv, for your very, very insightful contribution. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Been a
Likewise.
pleasure.
Thank you.